We always hear about crazy ex-girlfriends, but today, those crazy ex-girlfriends who admit to being crazy are telling their side of the story. I was called the crazy ex-girlfriend. We dated for 5 years, so we had many friends in common. I found out he was cheating on me through sex on his Mac he left open while he was in the shower. I freaked out and I threw his stuff out of my apartment. He was living there temporarily until he could find a job. I wanted to be alone to figure my life out, so I turned off my phone so he couldn't contact me and took off work for a couple of days. Probably for the best. After mentally recuperating, I turn on my phone to some mutual friends calling me and I'm blocking you, etc. I find out that he had told them I threw him out of our apartment because he was talking to his sister and I thought he was cheating. He said I made him homeless. They believed him because I never responded to the accusations because my phone was off. So now they think I'm super jealous and I was crazy because I made him homeless. His parents live 45 minutes away. He started living with them. So he was in fact not homeless. Luckily, some people believed me, but for the most part, a lot of those mutual friends took his side. This happened 6 months ago, and I still am getting flack for it. Too bad I never took screenshots of those intimate text messages. Girl, always gather the evidence. Always. To this day, I have evidence on one of my exes that he does not think I have. Crazy ex-girlfriend. Whatever he tells people about me is probably true. I love that she's just owning this right now. My depression/anxiety disorders were out of control. I wasn't on the right meds and I acted crazy the entire relationship. I don't think he knew how to handle it, and that is not his fault. I didn't even know how to handle it. 4 years later, I'm married now and not a crazy wife. Everything is under control. She's genuinely saying I was struggling with my mental health, so I did act crazy. I have mad respect for you. And some people, I feel like we overlook that, you know? We all make jokes, oh, that girl is crazy, but it's like, you never really know what someone's going through. I had a terrible birthday that year. My mom had a positive biopsy. The cancer had spread and that it looked super high risk. There was drama at work where I had to perform layoffs on some long-term employees. I texted him about it. He texted back to make sure I was going to be home that night and that he was then at my apartment. I thought maybe he was going to surprise me with dinner or something. I come home and he had been watching my TV. His cable was off and left fast food wrappers all over my couch. I was miserable and planned to take a bath and get drunk. Next thing you know, his son is at the door. My ex had dropped him off expecting me to babysit overnight while he went to Hooters with friends. He refused to answer his phone. When he did, he said he didn't see the big deal as I said I would be home. His version, I broke up with him because he didn't get me a birthday present and I was too materialistic. Don't you just love how they create a totally different version of events in their head? Like, I would genuinely love to interview my exes and the people around them because I just want to know what they told people. The effer had about $1,000 worth of my Blu-rays in his place, and I will be damned if I wasn't going to blow up his phone numerous times a day until he freaking answered and gave them back to me. Damn straight. I don't care what it is, or if it was worth $5. If it's mine, I'm getting it back. I will break into your mother's nose. I'm just kidding. I'm not that crazy. Accused my boyfriend in high school of having an emotional affair with his best friend that was a girl. It made me uncomfortable when they were alone together or when he would constantly talk about her. For instance, he told her how beautiful she was at prom and never commented on my dress. Ew. His guy friend, who is still a close friend of mine to this day, ended up pretty much being my date while he hung out with this chick. Red flag number 1. A lot of his guy friends told me I was jealous and irrational. I broke up with him feeling like the crazy ex-girlfriend. Fast forward 4 years and me and my guy friend were talking and he said that this ex-boyfriend of mine almost had a restraining order from his former best friend that was a girl. Turns out he was in love with her for years and she led him on big time and would tease him and use him as a tool to make herself feel better when she needed a confidence boost pretty much. He ended up constantly badgering her about how much he loved her to the point of getting drunk and showing up at her house, Facebook stalking her, etc. And she had to completely cut him out of her life because it was freaking her out. Turns out he was the crazy one and he was cheating on me. Now if I get that feeling, I just end the relationship right then and there, not dealing with that crap ever again. So, to sum it up, he was in fact crazy and a cheater. And all your thoughts in your head were absolutely right. Trust your gut. Oh, this is a big one. This is a doozy. Years ago, I met a guy. It was an instant attraction for me, and for a time, him too. This is sketchy. Things were pretty intense, and then for some explicable reason, he faded on me. This was all over the course of 3 years. I was hurt, so hurt, and angry, and not knowing what sent me into a really weird headspace, I became obsessed. I never blew up his phone or anything like that. Instead, I would try to time things and places I knew he would be. When I heard from a mutual friend about an ex-girlfriend of his, I got really jealous and paranoid. Was he seeing her again? Why? Why her, not me? What's wrong with me? So I became obsessed with her too, and this is where things got weird. I began doing drive-bys on both their houses. If I saw his car at her house, I would drive around and around until he would leave. This is crazy behavior. I would check to see when he was last logged on to Facebook. Seriously, the last online timestamp feature is a full stalker tool. I would try to work out if they were having intimacy by the amount of times he logged on. Before long though, instead of driving by, I began wearing a disguise and walking by her house. I never went to his, just hers, when he was there. The pain I'd feel in my chest when I saw his car there was unbearable. I had to know what they were doing. Why her, not me? I escalated to crawling along in bushes outside her house in my ridiculous disguise to try and hear what they were talking about. I heard them having intimacy a few times. It was sick and creepy, and I really effing hate that I know any of that. My behavior got even worse, and I did a few other things I won't write here. Girl, I need to know. Eventually, I began lurking around outside his house. Long story short, he came right out and confronted me one night while in disguise. He said my name, but instead of seeming angry or weirded out, he just laughed. I stopped all of my silly antics after that, but why did I do it? I don't know myself. The worst part was that during all these lonely sad nights I spent doing this, I knew it was crazy and weird, but I still did it. During that time, I was in treatment, and I can't say this part on YouTube, but I still carried on like a weirdo. I never told my therapist about him or her or what I was doing. I wish I had the excuse that I was super crazy and was hearing voices or blacking out, but I made a choice. I hated doing it so much, but I still did, and I'm a seemingly normal, well-educated person. It's been a few years now, and thinking about it now, it's like it was someone else. Why did I do that? Will I do it again? Why did I get weird about him and no one else? I don't know. Wow. I hear these stories genuinely all the time. I've had friends that I've hopped in the car and we have done drive-bys on their ex's house, straight up. So, I get it. I mean, I get it. I was meeting his friends for the first time. We all went out and then came back to his friend's house for drinks. I'm talking to his friends, getting to know them and be social. He's upstairs and talking to another friend. Girl walks in and goes upstairs. I think nothing of it until his friend comes down and I am being directed elsewhere. I realize they are trying to distract me, and of course, since I'd been drinking, everything was a lot bigger of a deal. It usually is. I throw a fit and go and knock at the locked door and might have started screaming, because what else was I supposed to do when the guy you're seeing is in a locked room with a pretty girl? I'm humiliated, can't be talked down, and am alone because they are all his friends, screaming, crying, and the like. So that's how I became the crazy one. Now that I'm an old fart, I could care less and I know my worth, that I'd be like, not even wasting my time or emotions. But when I was young and drinking, I probably would have set the house on fire. He never called me crazy, but if you ignore me for days after constant communication, I'm going to hide in a shadow on a street and wait for you to get home to see you're with your fiance you conveniently forgot to tell me about. Am I crazy or are you just a cheater? Or both? Well, I guess the biggest reason is because he never told me the things I did that bothered him. Like, it exploded at some point and things came to light that he never talked to me about once. Like, for example, whenever he told me he was going out, I would ask if I could tag along. When everything blew up, this was one of his issues, and I told him in disbelief, why didn't you just tell me you wanted to be alone? Why leave it at, I'm going to this place? I may have never understood if he was just tired of me or tired of us, or if all his reasons were justified. I honestly thought until that point we were okay, so I guess that made me crazy. I don't think that makes you crazy, asking to tag along. If he keeps saying yes and seemingly has no problem with it, like, why wouldn't you think otherwise? You know what I mean? Ex posted pictures on Facebook of a girl wearing the sweatshirt I bought him. When I called him out on it, he quickly deleted the photo and called me a psycho. Classic. He literally tried to convince me that I was crazy until I showed him the picture I took of that picture on my phone. Get the evidence. He then said he posted that picture because they had the same sweatshirt and it was such a big coincidence. Liar. Too bad that sweatshirt was from Goodwill for a football team at a random high school all the way across the country with the same jersey number on the back. You think I'm dumb. He then tried to tell me that I was a psycho jealous until I told him to cut the crap and he admitted to cheating on me with her multiple times. This guy was another kind of stupid. He sure was. And the fact that he thought you were that stupid is insulting. Oh, we had the same sweatshirt. That's like, shut the up. Was never a girlfriend, but I was dating this guy I worked with. Another girl we worked with starts saying that he is her boyfriend. I asked him if he was seeing both of us. Since we weren't exclusive, it wasn't ridiculous to think, but he flipped out and was very defensive. They usually are. He said they were definitely not seeing each other romantically at all and that she was crazy. Totally believed him. Then when I quit, he invited her to my going away party and she was rambling on about their 2-year relationship. I confronted him about it and told me I was crazy and that I was making up everything. He said I made up that we ever went on dates. That I made up that he ever took me back to his house. That I made up all the intimate / physical stuff we did. Wink, wink. He told me that he had never been attracted to me or done anything that should ever make me think that, and that I was insane and to stay away from him. He's just telling me this, not his girlfriend of 2 years. She never found out. I had to go to therapy for a bit afterwards because I was like, what if I did just make it all up somehow? I totally didn't, or at least according to the therapist, I had a very pragmatic view of life and a firm grasp on healthy coping mechanisms. That plus at least 2 coworkers knew he had been cheating on her with me, so we couldn't have all imagined it. Yeah, you're not imagining it. But isn't that sad when someone is such a narcissist and is so manipulative that you actually start to question yourself? All right, guys, those are some crazy ex-girlfriends who told their side of the story. I am happy to help them tell their side. I'm sure we could find crazy ex-boyfriends if y'all are interested in that. So let me know. Stay classy out there and stay sassy.